Good morning, welcome back to my channel. I had posted a card the other day and I apologize I can't pull it up, but my hands are full of ink and I don't want to, or full of paint and I don't want to go get it. And somebody asked me about how I got my cardstock so flat and I said I'd do a quick video. So I'm using a jelly plate. This is a 5x7. I'm using some really inexpensive paint. This one's from Hobby Lobby. I'm not even sure. I've probably had this for a long time. Just white acrylic paint. You can use any color paint. You can use a brayer, but I have a brayer, but it's really clean and I don't want to use that right now. So what I'm going to do is use my silicone stencil or brush, Nouveau brush here that works really well. And I'm just going to spread it all out, make sure it's kind of even. I don't try to be perfect when I do jelly plates. This is one thing that if you like perfection, this might not be something you need to get used to, I guess. So I've got my white paint. Off to the side here, I have paper towel. I have the Brutus Monroe Stencil of the Month right here. And as you can see, I was testing it just to make sure I remembered how to do it right. It's already got acrylic paint on it. And I'm just going to push the stencil down. And I'm going to, you can do multiple ways. The first way you can do it is, okay, so I have this. I'm just using scrap pieces of paper. This is just a piece of cardstock out of my pretty lightweight. It's not super light, but it's just a piece of scrap. Okay. And I'm going to put it down. Try not, because a jelly plate will move. And I just rub it in with my finger. You know, it doesn't matter if paint gets on the back side because it's going to be switched, or it's going to be covered. And I'm going to pull it up. And so I got one print right here. And you see there's a little bit of warping. One thing that I do is I just let it dry completely. But one thing I learned from Lydia Felder, like when you watercolor sometimes, is you can also spray the back of your cardstock when you're watercoloring, and it helps it to lay flat. So I did that. I'm going to leave it off, put this off to the side. Excuse me one second. Okay, this is the one I did earlier when I was testing to remember how to do it. So you can see it's got a little bit of, but not enough that if I just let it, I can just let it dry flat, but I can throw just a little bit of water in it and it already, just a mist of it, and it starts to dry flat. Now I'm going to pick up the stencil. And this one I have a lot of paint on, so I might have to do more than one print. So I'm going to take just another piece of scrap cardstock. And I'm going to lay it right over the top. And I'm going to peel it off. And there was way too much paint, so you don't see the design on that one so much. But that's okay. I can work with that. I can do something with that in a little bit. Excuse me a minute while I try to find a place to put it so I don't get paint on me. I'm going to go ahead and put my stencil back down and try to get the pattern in there a little bit more. Every time you do this, it's just a little bit different. Okay, I'm going to pull. So I still feel like I have a lot of paint in this stencil that I'm not sure if it's going to show up right. So I got to go to my scrap bin. Give me 1 second to find a piece of paper. This blue looks good. Just going to set it down. It's sometimes with gel plates it's playing. There you can see the pattern a little bit more. This one actually had some texture to the paper. Set that one off to the side. Now I'm going to move this jelly plate over just a little bit. It's got tons of paint on it, and you don't have to worry necessarily about cleaning it up. From my understanding, I'm still kind of new to jelly plates, but give me 1 second here. I'm going to rub my rest of my paint that I had. So a thinner coating of paint, I think, is the best way to get an imprint. And it just kind of grabs some of this paint off of it. It adds texture when you're making backgrounds. This is kind of a fun, I think this is fun to, I still have my jelly plate on my plastic because I just got it a couple weeks ago. I've only made a couple of prints. But I'm using paper towel just to wipe off my fingers a little bit. So this is kind of a messy product. Okay, so when I grabbed this out of my scrap bin, I got touch my paper in it. So I'm going to show you. You can also press it on the stencil that you used. And when you pull it off, you can get a very light print. You could go back in if you wanted to. I'm going to leave this the way it is. I'm going to let it dry. And then I'm going to pull my jelly plate back in here because I have a little bit of a lighter coating. You can tell my glass media mat is messy, but acrylic paint's easy to clean. Windex cleans it wonderfully. I used to be a cheerleading coach, and I used acrylic paints for window painting to decorate for like homecoming, and I used to decorate every window in the school. And the girls and I would use just a little bit of glass window cleaner, especially Windex, and a paper towel, and it would come straight off. All right, so I've got my stuff on here. I am going to actually press a piece just to take a little bit of the extra paint off where there's no, so I can get a little bit in. Don't know if I'll use that piece, but that's okay. I'll just put it off to the side. I'm going to peel this off. I don't know if you can see. I don't know if I can zoom in. Move this up just a little bit. I'll move my camera. Sorry if you get seasick. I can zoom in just a bit. If you can see that. Let me move this over. Try not to get paint on my camera. So that you can see a little bit of the pattern on there. Let's see, I need another piece of paper. Grab this orange. It's not a full sheet. That's okay. Cut it down. Good way to use your scraps. We're going to just pull it off. And I still don't have the perfect print. I don't know how I did that one the first time I did it. It just was beautiful. I'm assuming I just used just the lightest coating of paint. It was super, super, super light. So let's try. I'm going to put just a tad. Like I said, this is something I am still new at. I'm just going to put a very light coating of paint. When I don't know what to do, if I feel like my mojo's gone, I get out watercolors and do some ink smushing, or I get out my Nuvo Shimmer powders. I just kind of make backgrounds, squish them, do different things with stencils. I do some ink blending with stencils. All right, let's try this again. All right, we're going to push the stencil in really well. All right, now we're going to pull it up. Yeah, see, there's a lot of paint on there, so I'm going to push it in again just to make a double layer. Just going to use this to try to sop up some of the extra paint because I probably won't use this piece specifically. And grab this piece of blue paper, pull that off. I'm going to go here because this is about the same size. Oh, you probably can't see. I'm sorry if I'm off camera. I'm just pushing it right on my stencil. I'm off camera. I'm sorry. I'm just going to rub it. And then once I pushed it on my stencil and rubbed it, I'm just going to peel it off. And I got this fun print, which I think maybe this is the print that I saw that I used on my card. I don't remember. I with off the template, but I also did, I think, where I took it and I just pushed it in another spot to get more flower, you know, trying to just create some texture. Let me grab one more piece of, ooh, I've got ink on everything. Maybe I even just did a little bit on the top. I don't remember. I just played and played and played because I think you get different results every time you do this. I hope this explains the question that was asked, how do I get my paper so flat? I think sometimes it depends on how much paint is on there. I'm going to do this both sides since my fingers are kind of dry just to see what the texture looks like. Okay, so this you can kind of see a little bit more of the flower. I know I got paint on the side, but I'm already dirty. Peel it off. I didn't quite get it all, which is fine. I can put it over here, peel it back off again. I can put some here, peel it off again if I want. But see, you just got the faintest outline of the flowers, which is kind of fun to play with. So my jelly plate is very dirty. That doesn't mean anything. You don't really have to clean it off, from my understanding. I'm just going to leave it as is and let it dry. Some of that will come up on the next time I play, whether I use white or a different embossing powder. You can use distress oxides and do some watercoloring on that, which is a fun technique. I'm just going to leave it and let it dry. I'm going to go get some cleaned up, clean up my desk space. So I hope that answered some questions. And I will let these all dry and then create a couple of cards later. Oh, for that first piece that I sprayed the back of, see, it's pretty, got a little bit of warpage to it, but I'm going to let it completely dry and we'll see what it looks like when I'm all done. All right? Have a great day. Thanks.